We're now continuing, and we're going back to France, to CEVA, to Bertrand Jacquemin. And I will give you the screen, and he will give a presentation on the combination of oyster and nori cultivation.
Okay, so once again, thanks for attending the event, and it's a pleasure to share the integrated adventure with all of you. So now it's time to talk about nori and oysters. In this pilot action, we explore the strategies by which oyster farmers could domesticate a high-value seaweed, naturally recruiting on oyster pockets and tables. So Porphyra is one species of nori that naturally settle on the cultivation structure in oyster farms. This high-value species for human food is therefore a good source of diversification for oyster farmers, but they need to manage this resource. In this pilot action, we sampled Porphyra in different farms where they naturally recruit in order to isolate Conchocelis, the microscopic phase of the Porphyra life cycle, and build a biobank of strains. Those strains were then used to artificially seed oyster pockets that were transplanted into oyster farms. The last step of the cultivation process being the harvest, we tested different techniques that can be easily reproduced in the context of an oyster farm. The first step was the identification of oyster farms along the French Atlantic coast, where Porphyra purpurea naturally recruits. 7 farms were identified and fertile gametophytes were sampled. For the fertile tissue of the gametophytes, we induced the release of propagules, allowing us to obtain Conchocelis. 12 Conchocelis from each of the sampled oyster farms have been isolated and individually cultivated under vegetative conditions. One of the identified oyster farm, located in the Baie du Mont-Saint-Michel, was the location of a real-scale cultivation assay. From the Conchocelis were previously isolated, we artificially seed pieces of oyster pockets with spores, and after a 1-month nursery cultivation phase, the collectors have been transferred in the oyster farm. 5 of them were placed out of pockets containing oysters, and 2 repetitions of 5 collectors were fixed on pockets containing oysters. After 3 months, no effect of the proximity from oysters have been detected, even on the growth, the biomass, or the polysaccharides and amino acids profiles. In order to close the loop, proposals for harvesting techniques were needed, and 2 strategies have been tested. The first one was to harvest the seaweeds directly on the farm by using different tools. Plastic or metal, rigid or soft ones were compared. The second strategy was to transfer the pockets on a land area where seaweeds were harvested by hand after a 4 hours drying period. This pilot action allowed us to explore the production process from the early stages to the harvest, and different scenarios were discussed under the light of a case-by-case context for each oyster farmers. Details of these results and conclusions are available in the open access section of the project website. And in the next presentation, Cynthia Carpentier will illustrate examples of current approach from the profession. So I thank you for your attention, and I let the words to Cynthia now.
Okay, thank you very much, Bertrand. So we'll go straight ahead to Cynthia from the CREAA, also in France, but a bit more south on the coast, I think. Sharing this, giving now the screen to you, Cynthia.
Good morning, everyone. So I'm Cynthia Carpentier, representative of the CREAA in southwest coast of France. And in 2019, we worked on the potentiality of seaweed culture in Nouvelle-Aquitaine, and we focused the study on Porphyra species. So we wanted to explore every culture course possible in Nouvelle-Aquitaine. So we monitored 3 environments: the foreshore, marsh, and deep water. So you can see on the map the localization of the different sites. So that's why mainly in Marais-Oléron and a site in Ré Island. The first step of this study was to capture the Porphyra seedling to grow the seaweed for the study. So we set 2 kinds of catchers in December. As you can see on the photo, it was a fishing net catcher and oyster bag catcher. We moved those catcher in March in the different sites we wanted to study. And at this time, we could see some spore of Porphyra on the oyster bag catcher. So now for the growth of Porphyra, in marsh and longline, we could see the Porphyra was more and more smothered during the time of the study. In fact, there was a lot of turbidity very high in marshes, and on longline there were too much biofouling, mostly hydrid. So there is a lot of competition between the seaweed and the biofouling or the different particles in the marshes. That's why the study wasn't very conclusive for those 2 environments. As for the foreshore, we could monitor the growth of Porphyra in different sites. As you can see on the graph, there is different color for each site on foreshore. Thanks to this study, we could see that for the different catchers, the oyster bag was 2 to 4 times more efficient than the fishing net catchers. In terms of biomass and in terms of growth rate. The highest biomass we could record during this study for Porphyra was achieved in June, when the water temperature increased from 15 degrees Celsius to 18 degrees Celsius. And the average biomass on foreshore was approximately 1 kilogram of fresh algae per oyster bag. We did a bit of calculation during this study. In fact, if we use 1% of the foreshore surface for the culture of Porphyra, which means 66,000 oyster bag, it means we could have approximately 69 tons of fresh seaweed for this type of culture. So during this study, we could conclude that the foreshore is the environment with the best potential for a culture of Porphyra. And we are now looking to define more precisely the best culture course on the foreshore, which can secure a potential new seaweed production in Nouvelle-Aquitaine. Thank you for listening to me, and I give the talk to Eric.
Okay, thank you very much, Cynthia.